All right. Now, a couple more things we had about this press conference. The Kendrick Green part of the conference has come up.
I didn't even hear about this, but this is interesting.
Yeah. So when he was, talking about the offensive line, they were asking about, Kendrick Green. And he was saying why initially they made the switch. Said they made the switch to J.C. Hassenauer at the end of the season because it gave the team the best chance to win. Now, this is where I have a little bit of issue. So you say it's because he gave you the best chance to win, but we know all season long what Kendrick Green had been looking like. Why was it at the end of the season that you made that move? Because we had no indication that was going to happen prior to Kendrick Green popping up on the injury report with a calf issue. But we also said that he was dressing in these games, and we saw him dressing these games even on the video. Which, yo, JC.
Oh, I was amped up.
So it's like,
not a shot at Green, just I was really amped up about JC getting the start.
So it's like we see, how things played out, but we're hearing his comments. And then Coach Tommy went on this thing about how he's not closing the door on Kendrick Green as a center. But at the same time, his position flexibility was what made him so intriguing when they brought him out of Illinois, talking about how he's shown he could play center and guard. But to me, this is where I have an issue, because you didn't draft Kendrick Green because of position flexibility. No, you drafted Kendrick Green because you said he could be a center. That's why you gave him number 53 and you made him the starter day one. It was never a competition. Think about this. J.C. Hassenauer has been on this roster now for multiple seasons. J.C. Hassenauer has started games for this team for multiple seasons. J.C. has come in and played like we've always seen him play, consistent. He's the Chris Wormley of the offense. Going to do what he's supposed to do. Not going to kill you. Not anything spectacular either. So it's like you've already had this guy. You've known what this guy is capable of. And you know the bare minimum where his floor is. But you never even gave him the competition. BJ Finney is another example. You never even allowed him to compete with a guy like Kendrick Green. But now, after the fact, once we've had a whole season of how Kendrick Green has struggled, and we've seen where JC came in and the offensive line looked better to the point where you, Coach Tomlin, even admitted it. It's like, man, what are we doing?
What are we doing?
Like, I don't want to hear about position flexibility for Kendrick Green when you gave him number 53 and put him at center day one. Because you're not telling me you drafted him because of position flexibility. You drafted him because you thought he could be a center, and you still just won't admit that, you know what? Maybe we got it wrong. Maybe we're wrong. We were wrong. He's not a center. But like, why won't they just go there? Why won't we just say, you know what? Yes, we were wrong. This is what we need to do to become successful.
Yeah, that's
like the pride is in the way, man.
Because what it sounds like now, it goes back to the Canada stuff. If you're talking about Kendrick Green with position flexibility, you weren't thinking this year then, because we needed a center. We needed a starting center. That's who we should have drafted.
Get it, bro. I don't get it.
Even if you don't draft a center, then all right, just have it be JC or draft someone else on the line that is fit for that position.
Right, like they played that position. Not because when we talk about with Kendrick Green, and I remember because we did the film session on him, we said, man, he's only had 5 starts at center collegially. I believe it was like 230 snaps as a center collegially. That's not a lot of snaps. It's not. You play 60 plus snaps in a game. 80, I mean, we're talking about college because of how frequently those guys snap the rock. So that's what? It's not a lot. But to me, when I hear that, I'm just saying, dude, you going back full circle. It's like, bro, you did 7 a disservice. You did Nas, you did disservice. You did everybody disservice by going that road when you knew.
That's awful.
Because it's like
that's
you
terrible.
had the talent everywhere else, and we knew this was the place. Now, we understandably, the surprise retirements, the cut of DeCastro, but you knew Pouncey was retired. It wasn't like Pouncey retired after the draft. You knew he was retired going into the draft. That's the part for me where I just don't get it. And then when you go and look at the history of these type of moves, when they brought in Pouncey, they was putting him at guard first. And then it was just like, you know what? No, this dude is a dog at center. Yo, he's going to be the center. He's going to start, and that's how we're going to do it. They never even entertained Kendrick Green as a guard. In fact, they were adamant that he was a center. That's all they told us when we drafted. Hey, he's a center. He is a center. He is a center. But now all of a sudden it's the position flexibility. Now all of a sudden he can play guard or center. It's like, man, y'all never had that as an option. If so, why'd you wait until the final 2 games of the season to make that switch? Because it's
the
nothing,
calf injury that probably didn't
it's
exist.
Nothing you can tell me about that you watched on tape, because I watch these games on tape as well. It's nothing you're going to tell me that said that, hey, this guy was playing at a level above competition. He was playing at a level above JC or BJ, because he wasn't.
This was a hijacking of Ben's last season. It's a damn shame.
Yeah.
But I also will say this, or ask you this, I guess.
Yeah.
Is it the first round, or not the first round pick? Is it being a draft selection?
Being a top 3 draft selection, yes.
Why are we all delicate about that type of stuff?
That's this.
Who cares?
Like I said, first 3 draft picks and coaches, they get like crazy type of.
I guess you could even include Dan Moore maybe too.
It's a draft pick, right?
Well,
yeah.
You said first 3, but he was 4.
Yeah, he was 4th. Yeah. But typically those.
Who cares? You're not playing good. You get benched. It's not the end of the world. I mean, we did that with Ike Taylor. I know he was a 4th round pick.
Yeah.
His second year or something, he was getting torched left and right. He was terrible that year. I forget what year it was exactly, but he's getting torched left and right. But then we bench him. He comes back next season. I mean, he goes on a run for a good 5 or 6 seasons where he's our best corner, hands down, and probably one of the more underrated corners in the league. Like, you could bench someone in the middle of the season.
Just nothing against that. Same way, if a coach isn't working out, you can move on from the coach as well. But I don't get what we're doing though, bro. I really don't.
I don't know either. I mean, this year's going to be big. This year's going to be big in terms of like, all right, who was like really right and all this stuff. But it's still wrong, in my opinion.
Yeah, because you
throw away this season.
That's what you did, but
that's at least what it feels like right now, based off some of these comments and whatnot. But
I'm gonna sound like a broken record. But what do we say going into the season after the offseason? Man, they really never committed. It's like we're going about it halfway, all over the place, and these are the results that we get. We look crazy at times, and it's like, man, we have pieces offensively to compete and win now, but yet you have a center where this is a project almost, like if you feel like he can develop into a center, but he needs all season needs, it's not, that's a project. That's not day one starter. And it's nothing wrong with that.
Is that why they kept him in then? And
right. But that's
to our point though. That's a problem.
Exactly.
That's a big time problem.
Because it's like, I'm not going to sit here and act like a lot of us.
The playoffs through all this crap.
A lot of players, when they come in, they got to take time to develop. And we're talking any round, let alone a 3rd rounder who was a guard, 95% of the time he played collegiately. It's like, man, you knew it was going to be a learning curve. You knew he was going to have some issues, not even talking about the size element. Just the transition to center at the NFL level was going to be tough. And you put all of those eggs in that basket for this season, the last go around, right? For 7, that we're going to commit and try to do it right this year. And it's just like, man, mixed results. But the plan in itself was flawed.
Yeah. We could have been better. Bro. Like that could have been another win or two, different coordinator, not Green as our 3rd round pick. I don't know who you pick. I don't know who we could have drafted at center. Maybe. I mean, obviously the talking point is we draft Creed Humphrey in the 2nd round instead of Frymouth. Right. I'm not upset about the Najee Frymouth. I'm really not. And
that's my thing. It's like, I don't mind not having Creed Humphrey. I'm cool with that. But you're not going to tell me there wasn't a legitimate center prospect. No, because
he was pretty low on Kuiper's board, Green.
Like, that's what I'm saying.
They saw him as more of the potential guy.
Right, so it's like you didn't have any other legitimate option, or even if you still like the potential for him, why not start the season out with a JC, a BJ Finney, guys that have already started at this level, guys who have already had success at this level, while you groom Kendrick, while Kendrick can learn from behind the scenes of, okay, I'm a little undersized, so I might not be able to do some of the things that they do, but I can do this. I might not be able to do that, but I can pick this up from them and add this to my game. You never gave him that opportunity. You did him a disservice as well by just throwing him out there, because he had to learn on the fly, but now he's going to also have those negative reps in his mind as well. He's going to have that part when he's working himself this offseason, like, man, I had some bad plays out there. Like, it could be good, but it can also hurt you, man. And those are some of the things I'm just like, why did we go that route? Why did they feel they had to put him out there? Because like I said, it's not at Kendrick personally, but it's just like when we talk fit, he never fit what we were trying to accomplish as a center from day one. So why were we constantly trying to force that?
You could even start bringing up the Banner situation too. You could connect the dots with all this now with Canada, Dan Moore continuing to play, Kendrick Green continuing to play, not putting Banner out there? Are they looking for the future, which is terrible when you have Ben Roethlisberger coming back? And I talked about all this. I mean, what he's given to the franchise, what he means to the city. Like, no, you go all in, especially if this is his last. You go all in, man. Like, you don't do that shit. Like, that's awful. Yeah. Like, that's terrible. If that is the case, obviously we are speculating, but dude, it kind of makes sense when you connect all these dots.
And that's my thing, because I don't like to speculate, but I do listen. And I didn't say these words. This is what Coach Tomlin is saying. And I'm just comparing and contrasting what he has said when he speaks this season, prior to the season, and everything about it. And it's just like, this isn't adding up. You know what I mean? You can't tell me this all of a sudden now when the results are here. But a couple weeks ago, you was telling me a whole nother thing. It's like, nah, those things don't work like that, man. That's all.
Because it does sound like, oh, we're leaving him in as a project. We're seeing what he does. We're seeing how he develops. Like, come on, are you kidding me?
Like, what are we doing, man?
Are you kidding me? No way. That's frustrating, dude.
And then the last one.
That's really frustrating.